All right. So this response right here is an open invitation to talk with Grandmaster Jay live about my critique on NFAC. Um, I've been approached since I made that video by two of the supporters, so to speak, and one of them had the audacity to give me, some names, call me out. And so this is the response. I don't have any problem talking with anybody about the issue because we're discussing the liberation of African people for equality, for equanimity. So this is a live call out. Nobody's gonna watch it because I'm not really all that popular. Nonetheless, this is a live call out for anybody to come out and for us to have this conversation. Because I've been called something by two of their people, and that's enough. So if you need to have a conversation about the correct approach for the um, can't say liberation of our people because that's a process that's ongoing. But we can say for the health and the mind of our people, we can have that conversation. If you have any doubts about me being someone who would stay with Massa, the Uncle Tom handkerchief head Negro, let's talk about it, real deal. Because I know for the last 20 plus years, I've devoted my life to trying to understand how I can position myself to best serve people of African descent. And ultimately, now what I've come to learn is to best serve people in general. My dedication and my devotion tends to be towards people of African descent, but I am first and foremost a servant of the divine essence. And that is what I've come to understand through my journeys and through my travels and trying to understand what it means to be African centered. Because what it means to be African centered is really just people centered and understanding that we have different levels and layers of interactions and dynamics. So, really, in truth, I was looking for one of my books to read to the people as I wait for people to come in. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna copy this, and then I'm gonna paste it, and then I'm gonna send it. So you got the chops to really put it down on me. Then let's converse. Let's talk about it. Because real deal, this isn't. I don't have a problem speaking with anybody about my views on this matter. So that's the way it goes. So right now, let's see here. Kind of filibustering to waste the time or to let the time go by. I'm gonna stay on here for about 30 minutes. In that time, I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a conversation. I'm not just gonna sit here and waste your time if you've decided to, tune in to me. So, these I'm look. Oh, this is what I was looking for. Boom. All right. Bam. Check it out. The African American Liberation Struggle Theory and Practice: A Handbook and Study Guide for Black Revolutionaries, Volume 1, Part 1. So this is the underground Nubian scientist. This is what I've devoted. I picked this up in the 90s, bro, for brothers and sisters that, whoever this brother was that said that I was somebody who didn't have the guts to talk to people about my views. So in truth, this is probably going to be, unless something seriously happens, this is probably going to be my last time talking about these jokers. Because I have other things to discuss. So my discussion is really about the spiritual understanding, because this is a spiritual battle that we're on. This is a spiritual warfare. And if you don't believe me, look at the African continent now and look at the majority of people of African descent. that you come into contact with, they will be of a denomination that is more destructive to the liberation of our people than any gun could be. And so what I'm gonna do here is, as I wait for people to come in, I'm gonna read you some of the old school content that we had growing up, in trying to understand how to position ourselves to influence and improve the lives of African Americans in this country and the greater world, because it's been a serious struggle that we've been engaged in. It's not some fly by night operation that you kind of pop up on because of the times, and there's no sensationalism. Like, the struggle for the improvement of our people is ongoing, and it's multidimensional, and it's multifaceted. And so it's not, it's not it's not a call, or it's not something that you use, for fame, or it's not something that is quick to come up and quick to die. I mean, this is serious. This is what we've all been engaged in. It's going to take a multi-layered, multi-leveled, multifaceted approach to improving and overcoming the obstacles in the lives of African Americans, of people of African descent. And so look, let me see here. Man, this is so old. It's crazy. I haven't looked at this in a long time. Okay. Which is our nation, the motherland or the homeland? This is chapter 1. Africa, or Alkebulan, has the ancient ancestors called. It is the birthplace of humanity, the fountain of human culture, the cradle of civilization, and the motherland to all peoples of African descent. However, the concept of a motherland is distinct from the concept of a homeland. A cursory survey of world history demonstrates conclusively that people often migrate from the land of their ancestors, i.e. the motherland, or some patrilineal societies call it the fatherland, in search of a new land where they can make a new home. Notice that we said make a new home. A home is a dwelling place that you make or build with the sweat of your labor. Most Africans in North America migrated to the Western Hemisphere involuntarily. Some of course came before Columbus, and that testimony is carved in stone. Huge granite Olmec heads bearing African features found in Mesoamerica. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and other scholars have concluded that the Kemites are Egypto-Nubians who came before Columbus and built the Olmec monuments, which include pyramids as well as granite heads, arrived circa 1200 to 800 BC. This fact demonstrates that our ancestors were not tied to the motherland, but freely roamed and explored the planet in search of new homelands. The African presence in Moorish Spain and Portugal, Al-Andalus, the African Dravidian presence in ancient India, Hannibal's crossing of the Alps, and the conquest of Italy. The ancient African influence in the British Isles, has recorded by David McRitchie's Ancient and Modern Britons, and the ancient African presence in the Pacific Islands, has documented by R.A. Jazabor's Ancient Egyptian Survivals in the Pacific, bear witness to the fact that African explorers have consistently migrated from the motherland to build new homelands all over the planet Earth. Nevertheless, the ancestors of the majority of Africans in North America came to the Western Hemisphere in chains. They did not voluntarily migrate in search of a new homeland. Captive Africans did not passively accept either enslavement or forced migration. There was continued resistance in the form of slave revolts, escape via the Underground Railroad, and repatriation ventures. Repatriation literally means return to the fatherland, or the land of the forefathers. In other words, return to the ancestral land. Many freed slaves did return to the ancestral motherland. Paul Cuff, 1759 to 1817, a seafaring man, captain, shipbuilder, and ship owner, was one of the early notable Black proponents of repatriation. He set sail in 1816 with 38 repatriates to found a home in Sierra Leone. Repatriationists sometimes formed alliances with white organizations which wanted to export Black people back to Africa. These white organizations frequently had racist motives. They wanted to get rid of the niggas. The American Colonization Society was such an organization. It set up freed slave societies in Sierra Leone and neighboring Liberia, but the repatriates became the unwitting tools of American imperialism. For example, the Liberians, the freed slaves, became the ruling class in Liberia. They oppressed the indigenous Africans and allowed the Firestone Corporation that runs our tires, to exploit the indigenous people's labor and the natural resources of the country, the rubber trees. The capitalist exploitation comes around full cycle as a multinational rubbering manufacturing corporation markets its products to the Africans in America. Today, we pay big bucks to ride around in the ghetto on Firestone tires. I walk around the ghetto in sneakers, athletic shoes made from these Liberian rubber trees. Furthermore, for the past 30 years or so, right up to the present day, Liberia has been ravaged by a civil war as the poverty-stricken indigenous Africans struggle to overthrow the rich and powerful descendants of freed slaves. Debates about repatriation were prominent in the Black press from the 1820s to the early 1860s. Samuel Cornish of John Rushmore were the co-editors of the Freedom Journal, a Black-owned and operated paper, which was published from 1827 to 1829. Cornish and Rushmore held bitter opposing views on the subject of repatriation. Rushmore, the advocate of repatriation, published many articles on the subject. I could go on and on. Really, I'm reading to you a handbook to help people in the 90s who were disconnected from a liberation struggle on how they could structure their lives in order to make themselves of greater benefit to African people. Well, I'm gonna definitely keep going because I'm gonna hold this up here, and I'm gonna keep doing this every few moments. But there's no fear in my heart about what I've said, because I said it from my heart. I don't believe that this is a movement that is going to ultimately assist people of African descent. Not in this way, not in this time, not like that. It's only going to serve to incite a violence that can't be responded back. You know, you're not the first person to come up and ask for part of the land. There's a whole organization that's been working for years to get a portion of America. They asked for 5 states for people of African descent. They've been working behind the scenes without sensationalism and without the media. So you people who I think you're agents of the government. I think that you are sent in to incite in this time of chaos that we're experiencing right now. That's my thoughts on the matter because of the suspect nature of your actions. And this is a live broadcast that I'm asking. I'm sending the link in the chat. Like I thought, nobody's on here because I'm not really all that popular, just whatever. But it's streaming, and if you want to chime in, if you have an opinion on my opinion, and you want to speak. There's no fear in that because we're all in this struggle together. So, in particular, I'm responding. I am responding to Who am I responding to? Case in point. Really? Case in point. Yeah. You definitely seem like an agent or a plant. Case in point. Why don't you come on and talk? As a matter of fact, what I will do is I'll set up a premiere, so I'll give you some time to get ready to have another conversation with me. Because it's not a joke, it's not a game. This is weird times that we're living in. The best tool that we can do is we can be strategic in our approach to the improvement of the lives of people of African descent. Reactionary, emotional, sensational is going to get that same response. Reactionary, emotional, and sensational. Right now, it's a wave, it's a movement. I was informed by another mentor, Holly Garima, who owns Sankofa, who produced the movie Sankofa, that this is what they do. You know what I'm saying? This is how, the silent minority, reacts at certain times. And so we just have to watch the wave, how it's going, how it's moving, and we need to make our moves on that wave, essentially. But man, there's no level of fear that's going on. You know what I'm saying? I think you all are dangerous. That's my take on the matter. I don't think your approach is sane or rational. I question how you rose so quickly. I question, why do you have so many other people in different channels recruiting? That's my question. Where's your literature? You know what I'm saying? Where is your understanding that people can read and if they agree with, adhere to? That's my question. You have a private email? Put me on your private email and I will send this out to you. But my true purpose is to assist brothers and sisters growing along a spiritual path. If you really want to check out what I've done for brothers and sisters, I've created an oracle system that helps people understand the dynamics and the energies involved in their life, and that they can use to guide them on their way through life. I wrote a book, The Cosmocentric Mystic. You can check it out on Amazon or hit me up on cosmic.com, KHOSMIC.com. And then check it out. This is my contribution to the liberation of my people. This is my contribution. I believe that we are divine sparks within the body who are confused about how to go about in this world, and that we need to have guidance, we need to have discipline, and we need to have a consistent schedule of meditation in order to tap into that divine essence within ourselves and bring out the divine essence to our general and daily life. That's my take on the matter, and that's what I've been striving to manifest in my daily life and in the lives of those brothers and sisters that resonate with that understanding. Now, as far as violence is concerned, that's never been my forte. I've not been violent, but it doesn't mean that I am not capable. Everybody is capable, and I'm not scared. There is no fear. There's only an understanding on how to approach the liberation of people of African descent. So, like I said before, if you have an issue with my critique of NFAC, this is a time to come on and talk. Otherwise, there's no reason to even talk about it before. You know what I'm saying? That was my opinion on the buffoonery that I saw. That was brave. I'm not doing it. I haven't done it. I've recorded the cops, 1-to-1. I've fought against bills that have increased the powers that, cops have. That's what I've done. Have I held a gun to other people? No, that's not what I've done. I disagree with that tactic because I think it's wrong, rash, and abrasive, and strategically silly, honestly. It is suspect that the cops would let so many black men walk with guns. That's been historical norm. If a black man walks with a gun, he's, more than likely going to be made a target, and his ability to survive that encounter, it comes down to damn near zero. So that's suspect. It's suspect, man. And case in point, you who called me names and said I don't have the guts to talk to him, then this is my call. I'm asking to talk to any of you, and we can have this discussion about the approach to assisting the liberation of African people. What's the best way to go about improving the lives of people of African descent in this on this continent and the world over? What's the best approach? You know what I'm saying? Because you are clearly saying the best approach is to take up arms. I am clearly saying the best approach is self-development, strategically understanding where you're at, who you're with, and moving in a direction for the liberation of the African mind and people, and ultimately for the equal distribution and balance of peace and power throughout the world. Because I'm not talking about, having any hate in your heart for anybody, because it's only love that's going to help us in truth. It's love of self and love of the divine essence. So this discussion is for any of the NFAC members that want to come on and really talk to me, because I've noticed a lot of you have your little fake names. I see the little tactic of pointing towards Hebrew Israelites as people being violent. You know what I'm saying? I see your names being Hebrew Israelites. Hebrew Israelites already associated with being people who's incited violence in Jersey. So it's, this is, so that's what I think it is. Now, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. But case in point, you're not a real person. That's not a real name. Case in point. Cosmocentric Mystic Amaku, that's my name. You know what I'm saying? Speak. If not, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Because I have my own critique that I'm discovering along my own path and along my own way. Like I said, I'm going to be on here for a few more moments and then I'm off. But I've been on here and I will come on again with a premiere stating, the time and the day that I'll speak with anybody regards to this movement, because it makes no sense. We all want justice for Breonna Taylor. And you know what? There's a part that's in agreement. But if you've read, so the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept Workbook for Victims of White Supremacy by Neely Fuller Jr. states, the Ultimate Compensatory Act is an act in which you take out a white supremacist and then take out yourself, but silently. So this analysis on how to use force in order to get our point across has already been done. And see, you're violating some of the laws. So we've had top scholars already say this is how you go about doing this. You can see ultimate independent compensatory acts of justice being taken in different forms. Dave Chappelle, in his commentary 806 or something, 908, whatever his last show was called, talked about a man who was a cop who was ousted by the cops who took the ultimate compensatory act. And that's what that looks like. This is something different, what you all are doing. This is something that is unprecedented, and this is weird. Just going to be honest. You know what I'm saying? And then, will you survive the time is the question. Will you survive the time? Because you survive the time by being community oriented. You survive the time by having programs that uplift the community. The Panthers weren't. The sensationalism was the gun. That was the sensationalism. But the act was the improvement of the people, the development of the people, the protection of the people, not the sensationalism of the onlooker and the gawker that we have nowadays. And that's what I think. That's what I think it is. I think it's sensationalism. But by and large, this is my response. Hit me up. Send me your email. Since you saying I don't have what it takes to speak, how you gonna say this, brother? Listen to what this guy, case in point, told me.
All right, there we go. I killed myself. All right, look. How about this? No more killing.
It's people like you that would stay with Massa. I would have respect for your thoughts if you would have went to Grandmaster Jay like a real brother and tell him what you feel. But you decided to get on YouTube like a blank and sound like you scared. We are living in a white supremacist world, and we need to fight back. Be careful, really, nigga. We don't know if we are going to make it home alive some days with these racist cops. Wake your blank up. It's a race war.
I will make you die.
Really?
Like
how am I supposed to contact this guy?
Like that.
And why? I disagree with him. I think he's suspect.
There we go. I killed myself. So now more killing.
The Trump picture, photo op, security campaign that he did, I think is suspect. The presidential bid that he did by himself with no followers, I think is suspect. His inclusion in the Black Lives Matter speech, I think is suspect. And his gun-toting, happy, living, loving, whatever, I think is suspect. So, and then how am I supposed to contact him? It's all suspect. This is my attempt for contact.
Ow.
I'll be back on tomorrow with this same energy.
Wait, guys, look what I have.
So, around the same time. So, if you're looking for a discussion, this is it.
Come here, buddy.